Okay, what happened at the end of chapter 4? At the end of chapter 4, they couldn't eat the lion meat. The lion meat was not very good, and they couldn't eat it. They couldn't eat it. But they wanted the skin, and so they skinned the animal. They took the animal's skin, they took the lion's skin, and dried it on top of the boat. They dried out the animal skin, the lion's skin, on top of the boat. So now we have chapter 5, ship, not sheep. Ship, not sheep. No, just ship. Chapter 5 is called ship. For the next 10 days, we sailed close to the land. How long did they sail close to the land? They sailed close to the land for the next 10 days. For the next 10 days, we sailed close to the land. What did they do close to the land for the next 10 days? Sailed. They sailed close to the land. For the next 10 days, we sailed close to the land. We stopped only to fill our bottles with fresh water. What did they fill their bottles with when they stopped? Fresh water. They stopped only to fill their bottles with fresh water. What did they fill with fresh water? Did they fill a canteen? What's a canteen? It's like a big bottle. No, they didn't fill a canteen. They filled their bottles. We stopped only to fill our bottles with fresh water. That is the only reason they stopped. They stopped for no other reason. That is, they didn't stop at all, but only to fill their bottles with fresh water. Soon we started to notice the land was inhabited. Or soon we started to notice that the land was inhabited. What did they notice soon upon the land? What did they notice? That it was inhabited. They noticed that the land was inhabited. Soon we started to notice that the land was inhabited. And what was inhabited? The land. Soon they started to notice that the land was inhabited. Several times we saw people on the beach who were watching us. How many times did they see people on the beach who were watching them? Several times. Several times they saw people on the beach who were watching them. And when they saw these people on the beach, when they saw them, what did they notice that they were doing? What were the people they saw on the beach doing? They were watching them. Several times we saw people on the beach who were watching us. I wanted to stop and go to them, but the boy asked me not to do it. What did the boy ask him to do? The boy asked him not to do it. Not to do what? Not to stop and go to them. That is, the people on the beach. He wanted to stop and go to them. He wanted to stop and go on the beach, go inland, go ashore. But the boy asked him not to do it. He said, please, don't do it. I wanted to stop and go to them, but the boy asked me not to do it. But then one group of these people looked very friendly. How many groups of these people looked very friendly? One group, just one group of these people looked very friendly. But then one group of these people looked very friendly. I waved to them. I tried to sign to the people that we needed food. What did he try to do to indicate to the people on land that he needed food? What did he try to do to show them he needed food? He tried to sign to them. What does that mean, to sign to them? It means he tried to make a sign. He waved to them. He tried to make a signal, a sign with his hands. He waved his hands, trying to indicate somehow that they needed food. What might that look like? What could he have done to sign to them, to show that they needed food? Maybe he moved his hands toward his mouth. Maybe he made like an eating sign, like moving his hand back and forth towards his mouth. I waved to them. I tried to sign to the people that we needed food. They signed to me to come to the beach, or they signaled to me to come to the beach. That is, they too made a sign that said, come ashore, come into the beach. We have food, I suppose. They signed to me to come to the beach. 2 of them ran into the forest. They returned with some dry meat. Who ran into the forest? 2 of them. Who is them? Who are they? The people on the beach. The people who lived on the land. 2 of them ran into the forest. They returned with some dry meat. After they ran into the forest, what did they come back with? What did they return with? Some dry meat. They returned with some dry meat. Why dry? What is dry meat? I guess dried meat. Meat that has been stored and preserved. Maybe they had salt. It's possible. And they used salt to dry the meat. I don't know. But anyway, they returned with some dry meat. We didn't want to approach the land, and they were too afraid to swim to us, so we didn't know how to reach the food. Did they want to approach the land? No, they didn't want to approach the land. They didn't want to go toward the land. Why didn't they want to approach the land? Because they were too afraid. No, sorry. Why didn't they want to approach the land? We don't know. It doesn't say. But maybe they were scared of the people on the land. We didn't want to approach the land, and they were too afraid to swim to us. Were the people on the land too scared to swim to the boat? Yes, they were. They were too afraid to swim to us, it is written. And so we didn't know how to reach the food. We didn't know how to get to the food. What didn't they know how to get to? What didn't they know how to reach? The food. They didn't know how to reach the food because they didn't want to approach the land, and the people on the land were too afraid to swim out to the boat. When the people saw this, they stepped back and were soon quite far from the food. When the people saw this. When the people saw what? What did the people see? I guess they saw that Robinson Crusoe and his boy were too scared to approach the land. The people on the land saw that they didn't want to approach the land. That is, Robinson Crusoe and the boy didn't want to approach the land. And so they stepped back and were soon quite far from the food. They stepped away from the food to show that they weren't threatening, that they weren't a danger to Robinson Crusoe. When the people saw this, they stepped back and were soon quite far from the food. We approached the food and took it on board. So we went toward the food. We went ashore and we went to the food and we picked it up and we took it on board. We brought it back to the boat. We took it to the boat. We approached the food and took it on board. Then we weren't scared of them. Maybe after that, we weren't scared of them anymore. And they came to us. We thanked them, but we had nothing for them. So after receiving the food, after getting the food, the people who gave them the food were no longer scared of Robinson Crusoe and the boy. They weren't scared of them anymore, and so they went out to the boat. Presumably, they swam out to the boat. They swam to the boat, and Robinson Crusoe and the boy thanked them. They thanked the people on the land. They said, "Thank you for the food." But unfortunately, they had nothing for them in return. Robinson Crusoe and the boy had nothing to give them because they were alone on the boat. At that moment, we saw 2 animals which were running down the hill. What did they see running down the hill? 2 animals. They saw 2 animals which were running down the hill. When did they see 2 animals which were running down the hill? at that moment. At that moment, we saw two animals which were running down the hill. The people were scared. One animal attacked a young girl. Were the people scared of the animal? Yes, the people were scared. And one animal attacked a young girl. Who did one animal attack? A young girl. The people were scared, and one animal attacked a young girl. I shot at it, and I killed the animal. What did Robinson Crusoe do? He shot at it. He shot at the animal with his gun. He pulled out his gun and he shot the animal, and he killed it. He killed the animal that was running down the hill. The second animal was scared, and it ran away. Yes, there were two animals running down the hill. That's right. So he shot one animal, and the other animal, the second animal, became scared, and it ran away. It ran back up the hill, perhaps, or down the beach, or into the forest. The people were shocked when they heard the gun. How did the people feel upon hearing the gun? Upon means when. How did the people feel when they heard the gun? The people were shocked. The people were shocked when they heard the gun. They were also shocked when they saw the animal was dead. Why were the people shocked? They were shocked for two reasons. They were shocked because they heard the gun, and they were shocked when they saw that the animal was dead. They were shocked that they saw that Robinson Crusoe had killed the animal. They were happy the girl was alive, and they thanked us. They brought us more food and water. How did they feel that the girl was still alive? They were happy. They were happy the girl was alive, and they thanked us. They brought us more food and water. What did they bring to Robinson Crusoe and the boy as gratitude? As gratitude because the girl was still alive, because the girl was alive. They brought them more food and water. On the 11th day, we saw a long piece of land which was extending very far into the sea. It was extending very far into the sea. It was extending. Extending is when something becomes longer. So it was a piece of land that went very far into the sea, like a peninsula, or maybe like some kind of natural jetty or wharf. On the 11th day, we saw a long piece of land which was extending very far into the sea. What did they see? They saw a long piece of land. And what was the nature of this piece of land? What kind of land did they see? What kind of long piece of land did they see? They saw a long piece of land that was extending very far into the sea. There were also some islands far in the sea. I was thinking about going to the islands. Were there some islands in the sea? Yes, there were. There were some islands far in the sea, like far away in the sea. So they saw some land which was extending very far into the sea, and they saw some islands that were also far in the sea, far away in the sea. And he was thinking about going to the islands. He thought, maybe I should go to these islands. Then the boy shouted, "Look, there is a ship." What did the boy do? He shouted. The boy shouted, "Look, there is a ship." And really, there was a ship quite far at the horizon, or on the horizon. And really, there was a ship quite far at the horizon. What's the horizon? The horizon is where the sun sets. The horizon is as far as you can see, on the very edge of your vision, where the sea meets the sky, or where the land meets the sky. That is the horizon. And they saw a ship quite far at the horizon. The boy was really scared. He thought it was a pirate ship. How did the boy feel upon seeing the ship quite far at the horizon? The boy was scared. The boy was really scared. Why was the boy scared? Why was the boy really scared when he saw a ship far at the horizon? Because he thought it was a pirate ship. The boy was really scared. He thought it was a pirate ship. But I looked at the ship properly. It looked Portuguese. How did he look at the ship? Properly. I looked at the ship properly. What does that mean? I looked at the ship properly. What could it mean? I think it means he looked at the ship for a long time. He studied the ship. He looked at the details of the ship. And when he looked at the ship for a long time, when he looked at the details, when he looked at the ship properly, he saw that it was Portuguese. Maybe it had a Portuguese flag. Or maybe it was a style of ship that only the Portuguese made. It was clearly a Portuguese ship. The ship was going away from us. No one on the ship saw us, so I fired a gun. The ship was going away from us. Which direction was the ship going? Away from us. The ship was going away from us. No one on the ship saw us. Who on the ship that was going away from them saw them? Nobody. Nobody on the ship saw us. So I fired a gun. What did Robinson Crusoe do? Because no one on the ship that was going away from them had seen them. No one on the ship had seen them, and so what did he do? He fired a gun. He fired a gun because it would make a loud noise and maybe some bright colors. Maybe it was bright in the sky. I don't know what kind of gun he fired. They heard the gun, then they saw us. Did firing the gun work? Was firing the gun effective? Yes, it was. It was effective because they heard the gun and they saw us. Who heard the gun and who saw them? The people on the ship, the people on the Portuguese ship, the sailors on the ship. They heard the gun and then they saw them. Then they turned their ship and went toward us. Soon we were on the Portuguese ship. What did the crew do? What did the sailors do when they heard the gun and saw Robinson Crusoe and the boy? What did they do? They turned the ship around. They turned it around toward them. They turned it and sailed towards them. They sailed to them, and soon they were on the ship. Soon Robinson Crusoe and the boy were on the Portuguese ship. They spoke Portuguese, Spanish, and French. Did they speak English? No, they did not speak English. They spoke Portuguese, Spanish, and French. But I didn't understand them. Did Robinson Crusoe understand what they were saying? No, he didn't, because they spoke Portuguese, Spanish, and French. And Robinson Crusoe spoke, I don't know. I can't remember what language Robinson Crusoe speaks. Let's assume English. Fortunately, there was a Scottish sailor on the ship. He came to me and I told him our story. What kind of sailor was there on the ship? What nationality of interest was there a sailor on the ship? Scottish. There was a Scottish sailor on the ship. Fortunately, there was a Scottish sailor on the ship. Fortunately, luckily, there was a Scottish sailor on the ship. He came to me and I told him our story. What did Robinson Crusoe tell him? Our story. Robinson Crusoe told him everything that happened up until that point. Robinson Crusoe told him everything that we have read so far, I suppose. Then all the sailors started to be very nice to us. What happened after Robinson Crusoe told them his story? All the sailors started to be very nice to them. Then all the sailors started to be very nice to us. They agreed to take me and the boy on the ship. What did they agree to do? To take me and the boy on the ship. To take Robinson Crusoe and the boy on the ship. They agreed. They said, yes, you can come with us. They agreed to take me and the boy on the ship. We were both very happy. Who was happy? Both of us. We were both very happy. We offered our things to the captain, but he didn't want to take them. He wanted to pay for them instead. What did Robinson Crusoe offer the captain? He offered them their things. It must not have been much. It wouldn't have been much. What things would he have offered them? Maybe some meat, maybe some food that he had from the people on the land, maybe their guns. But he offered them their things. He offered their things to the captain, but he didn't want to take them. The captain didn't want to take them. He didn't want to accept them. He wanted to pay for them instead. That is, the captain wanted to give Robinson Crusoe some money. He wanted to buy his things. The captain offered to pay for them instead. It was very nice of him. I told him he could buy our boat, which I gave him a good price for. It was very nice of him. What was very nice of him? It was very nice of him to offer to pay for the things instead. Instead of just taking them, the captain could have simply taken them, accepted them, because he was saving Robinson Crusoe's life. He was letting him sail on his ship. And so he could have taken everything that Robinson Crusoe had, but instead he was very nice and he offered to pay for them. I told him he could buy our boat, which I gave him for a good price. What does it mean, I gave him for a good price? Robinson Crusoe sold his boat to the captain for a low amount of money, for a very little amount of money. This is a good price. I told him he could buy our boat, which I gave him for a good price. What did Robinson Crusoe tell the captain that he could do? Robinson Crusoe told him that he could buy our boat for a good price. I asked for half of the usual price. How much did Robinson Crusoe ask for his boat? I mean, how much did he say the price of his boat would be? How much money did he ask for his boat? He asked for half of the usual price. I suppose there is a standard price for boats, a market price for boats, a price that everyone pays. But Robinson Crusoe asked only for half as much, half of the usual price. And he could take the rest of the things for free. The captain agreed. So Robinson Crusoe asked for half of the price, half of the usual price for a boat plus everything else that was on the boat and the rest of their things. The boat and probably guns, maybe some water, maybe some food. It is written, I asked for half of the usual price, and he could take the rest of the things for free without payment. And the captain agreed. The captain said, yes, thank you, I will take these. The captain also wanted to train the boy as a sailor. What did the captain want to do with the boy? To train him as a sailor. The captain also wanted to train the boy as a sailor. I didn't like this idea. I thought he was too young for this job. Did Robinson Crusoe think it was a good idea to let the captain train the boy as a sailor? No, he didn't. Robinson Crusoe says that he didn't like this idea, and he thought he was too young, that is, the boy was too young for this job. Robinson Crusoe thought the boy was too young to be a sailor. I thought the boy also needed freedom. He didn't need to start another service. What does it mean, he didn't need to start another service? The boy was already in service to Robinson Crusoe. The boy was already working as a job, right? Working for Robinson Crusoe. He was already in service to Robinson Crusoe. And Robinson Crusoe thought that the boy didn't need to start another service. He didn't need to start another job for this captain because he was too young and he needed freedom. He needed to be a child and to run around and play without responsibility. He needed freedom. Robinson Crusoe thought that the boy also needed freedom, that the boy needed to be free, and that he didn't need to start another service. And that is chapter 5.